one of our very own. I'm just going to move out of the way here. That's right, from Melbourne, a grandmother speaks out against police misconduct. Okay, so you may remember last year, I believe it was the 19th of September 2020 in Elstonwick. Police were quite heavy-handed with a grandmother. She was 69 years old at the time, and they engaged in what I would describe as misconduct, and they acted against her in a way that I would describe as assault. It was a very traumatic experience, and a bit over a year later, Robyn reached out to me and she said, hey, I'd like to tell my story and to get a message out there to Australia and the world in relation to what she's experienced, and also she has a great message for Victoria Police as well, people who serve in the police force. So I'm going to play a couple of clips for you now. Now I'm going to replay the ordeal, what happened. It was captured by an independent YouTube media person that goes by the account name of Box4. Now, before I do, I just want to express that it is disturbing seeing this footage, very disturbing scenes that contain many police officers surrounding a grandmother. So viewer discretion is advised, just to let you know. I find it distressing. So I'm going to play it for you. Now, the clip plus the interview goes for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to play that for you, and I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Code trial. And this is what...
I'll see if there's evidence. Alright?
I will put it away.
Away?
No, can I just take my phone on me, please? Oh, no. Hey, I'm just grabbing.
Take a step back, guys. Take a step back, Polly.
I was folding it up.
Give me my phone! Give me my phone! No! Give me my phone! Daddy, no! Give me my phone!
Put your hands behind your back, guys.
No! Let me out! No! Help!
Come over here. Another one with her.
Leave me alone! Leave me alone! No! I keep going! Look! My dog! My dog! My dog!
Is that your dog? Is this your dog?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong! I think nothing wrong! I've done nothing! Oh, why are you doing this to me? Why? I'm 60.
Yes,
I'm 69 years old. 69. I've got 4 kids and 6 grandchildren. I've done nothing wrong ever. No, my dog. My dog.
Your dog's right here.
Oh my God. Please help me. No. I'm a grandmother. I'm a mother. I've never had
Behind them. We're going to police line up now. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. No worries.
All right, we are joined here by Robyn. Robyn, thank you so much for joining us on the MCJ Report. It is a true privilege to have you on board the show. It's been over 12 months since that horrible event in Alstonwick where you were, as far as I'm concerned, assaulted by several members of Victoria Police and treated in an inhumane way. We just rewatched the footage on MCJ Report, and it's fresh in my mind. Now I'm going to take you back to the start of what happened. As far as I'm concerned, I saw you in the footage filming a woman who was being arrested. But would you mind, in your own words, telling us what you were doing out that day?
Actually, I was planning to go to the rally in the city, and then I found out that they changed it because there was a lot of violence by the police there and people were getting arrested. So they changed it. And a friend rang me and let me know. So I was in St Kilda Road. So my car was parked there and I was in the gardens and I saw all the black cars go past, the response cars, and I knew that they already knew where it was going to be because they were going speeding down St Kilda Road. So I was aware that there was going to be, a police presence. So, but I continued to go there. And when I got there, it was such a beautiful day, and everyone was out with their dogs and with, riding their bikes and everything. And then, but the police were just blocking off everything. So when I parked and I went across to where the lady was, they obviously chased everyone else away. And there was only one lady there left from the rally. And so my heart went out to her because I'm a Christian, and I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, she was like surrounded by the police, but she was very calm. And she was explaining all about the Constitution to them and everything. And they were really quite, intimidating, I felt. And I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, if that was your daughter, would you just stand by with everyone else and just watch? And I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me to film her and what was happening. So I got my phone out and I started filming. And then they must have planned to arrest her. And obviously, I think afterwards they must have planned to arrest me, but I was unaware of that. So they took her behind the tree where she had her bag and her banner. And then she started to try and roll up the banner. And so then this policewoman started yelling at her, screaming at her about the banner. So I got my phone out again to film, and, that they were abusing her. And so I got it out to film, and then they just, this policeman just yelled at me and said, "Hey, you," and I just got such a fright. And then they just came around, about 6 or 7 of them, and they just attacked me. They just swarmed on me. And I had my dog. I actually had my dog, who was only about 12 months old, just a puppy really. And he was just running around having fun. I had no idea where he was. And then I had the lead, the bottle of water, and my phone, and they just knocked everything out of my hands. And I just was hysterical. I was the biggest shock, because I was 69 years old. I'm 70 now, so I can talk about it now because it's over a year, but it's still hard because it brings it back really like it was just yesterday.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And I think
really
back to that scene. I think back to the moment when you were apprehended. Now, Victoria Police, when they're making arrests, they're supposed to use force that they consider proportionate to get the job done. So why do you think you were swarmed by so many police officers? Surely it did not require that amount of police personnel to arrest you, 69 years old, walking your dog. Why do you reckon they did that?
I've got no idea. I still can't understand it. I just don't have a clue why they feel that they have to. I mean, we've seen it just escalate to something even worse things happening to people now. And it just keeps piling on. I've got no idea. I didn't feel the pain. I'm just thankful to God that they didn't slam me into the ground like they slam everyone else. I'm just like, I'm thanking God that they didn't do that. They sort of marched me across to the fence and just twisted my hands and arms behind my back, really, really terrible. You know, it was just shocking. And then, but I was hysterical about my phone. And then I was hysterical about the dog because he's just a puppy, and just I'd never been to that park before. I was not familiar with the area. I didn't know anybody there, not a soul. And I saw the van in the distance, and they frog marched. They literally frog marched me across behind the other lady to where they just started setting up the table to process the fine. And of course, they didn't know at that stage that I was actually out of my 5K zone. So, you know what I mean? I was only filming, and there was so many onlookers and bystanders. So,
right. What reason did they give you for arresting you that day?
They told me that, when we went across, they told me I had to show my license, and then they said, she's out of her 5K zone, and so that's what gave them the excuse to fine me. But they didn't have a reason. Like, the only reason that they would have had to arrest me in that violent manner was because I was filming. That's the only thing.
Right. So did they let me ask you a question. Did they put you in handcuffs before or after asking for your identification?
No, before, way before. They immediately.
It doesn't.
They immediately slammed me across. They just grabbed me, a whole lot of them, 6 of them, slammed me across into the fence, and then forcibly put handcuffs on me. And that's why I was hysterical.
I'd like to find out if that's proper protocol, because I mean, I'm not an expert in police protocol, but I'm under the impression that if Victoria Police are going to arrest somebody, they must explain the reason for the arrest.
No.
So they didn't do that.
Actually, I think he might have said, because he called out, "Hey, you," and I turned away. He probably thought that was sufficient to arrest me on resisting arrest. Maybe that was in their plan.
Well, hey, you is not equivalent to you are under arrest. And now you actually made a complaint. You actually made a complaint to the Victoria Police Conduct Unit regarding their behaviour that day. What happened with that?
Well, I did have an independent inquiry, was the police investigating themselves, which I wasn't very hopeful about. But I did a 3.5 hour, in February, I did a 3.5 hour, statement to the investigating officer. And of course, they decided in the end that the violence the excessive force they used against me was quite appropriate.
Right, so how did they justify that? You've got multiple men surrounding you, yelling, intimidating. How are they able to justify that being proportionate?
Oh, it's just a corrupt system. It's just, of course, I don't think it's going anywhere, any of these. I'm sorry that I actually even did go down that path. I was still naive enough to think that maybe there was some justice, but now I know there's none. And the depth of corruption is really nearly impossible for you or I or anyone citizen to understand. We just can't comprehend it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we need to start looking at some private prosecutions. Now, let me ask you, Robyn, it's been a little bit over a year since this incident. Would you mind talking a little bit about how this experience with Victoria Police has affected you moving forward past that date in September 2020?
Well, even now, I really can't watch it. Like, people say, "Oh, you the lady that blah blah blah," and then they might get it out and show me, and I'd say, "No, I can't look at it. I actually can't look at the footage," and I could not drive past police cars. I couldn't drive past the local police station. Everything I was seeing, like the yellow and blue on the side of cars, like that they were all, I was just looking at cars like they were all police cars. If I hear like a siren or something, like I'll go into trauma, because I trusted the police up until now, and that was like the biggest shock in my whole life. I've been going to counselling. I had to go to. I actually was injured with my wrists, and the chiropractor said that would have been a permanent injury if he hadn't adjusted it, and also I know for anyone their wrists is very important, but for me, I'm a classical pianist and I'm also a harpist. So for everything that I do, I have to have the strong wrists, and I was actually injured my wrists putting them in the handcuffs. And then when they were waiting to get the fine, I said, I had surrounded by the police. I said, look, I'm not going to run anywhere. Can you just please, they're hurting me. Can you take them off? And you know what he did? He actually tortured me more by pulling down on them to dig into my wrists to say, oh, they're loose. And he did that.
That's absolutely disgraceful.
So that was torture as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgraceful, but unfortunately it's not surprising. I think the scenes that we've seen since the inception of this corona situation has caused many of us here in Victoria to lose faith in the police, and it's very, very sad to see that trust in the police has been lost for so many. Do you think it's possible for the relationship to be repaired between the police and the public?
I think it will take a generation, and actually I know there are some good police, and at the beginning I wasn't prepared to realise that, but the one that did the investigation was very kind, and so it restored a bit. And then of course I've gone into a couple of times, I've gone into the police stations with the cops for COVID information, and that took a lot of courage, but I did that, and they were listened to me, and they in the local police stations, and they were quite kind. So I know there are I'm worried that they will leave and the other ones will stay, and we won't have anyone kind left in the police force.
Yeah, that is a possibility. We saw a senior constable from New South Wales, Alexander Cooney, a great guy that actually left the police force and is now speaking up in favour of people's rights and calling on police to do the right thing. Do you have a message for Victoria Police that you'd like to express? Because several officers actually do watch the show.
To all the police out there, I know your conscience, if you've been told things that just don't sit right with you and you're given orders that you don't want to carry out, I feel that if you could just have integrity and make a decision to be courageous and brave and speak out against this corruption in the police force and the violence and the assaults that are happening all the time on innocent citizens. And actually, I think if you keep going along this way, you're actually causing it happen to yourself and your own families and your own children. And to stand up now, you will get respect and you will get help from everyone. But if you continue to go along with just, I'm getting paid, I'm just following orders, I really feel like in the end, it won't work out good for you. I really ask you to stand up now and stand with the people, and please stand with us. That's what I like to say.
That was really, really well put. Thank you. Great words, Robyn. Now, before we wrap our broadcast up, is there a message that you would like to share with Australia and also our international audience?
I just really want people to know what's happening in Australia and especially in Sydney, Western Sydney, and in Melbourne. It feels like to me there's a war being waged upon us without realising that it was brewing for a long time, I think. There's a war of the government and the police commissioner and the police, and also militia, I think, being used against the innocent
people, innocent citizens. And I just I just ask everyone to support us and help us to, stand up against this tyranny and not have fear. And the media are working in with the police as well and the government, just portraying everyone in a bad light. Just please, don't believe all the things that you see about the citizens in Melbourne and Sydney, because we're fighting for our freedoms. We've had them all stripped from us in a relatively short time, maybe 18 months, and we don't have any freedoms left. So if we don't stand up now together and not allow division to happen, which is what they want us to be divided in all different ways, if we stand together and love each other and reach out to each other and be there to help each other, no matter who it is, that we're not going to judge, we just want to help people. And if everyone helps each other and loves each other and reaches out to each other with empathy and understanding, it doesn't matter where they are with what they understand, what's happening. I think, just to accept people for who they are as human beings made in the image of God, and we have inalienable rights from God. And so we have to fight for that. And that's what I just ask for support from people to understand what we're going through.
Robyn, thank you so much. You are most courageous for speaking out. I know that on behalf of our MCJ audience, we are so grateful for your time. You're an inspiration to us. I hope that there are police officers out there that listen to your words very, very carefully. And I'm glad to see that you're going along strong. You're not giving up on freedom, and you're not bending at the knee to this tyranny either. And we salute you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me on the show, Morgan. Yeah, thank you for everything, all your support.
Thanks, Robyn. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
All right. So once again, a huge thank you to Robyn. Robyn, thank you for having the courage to tell your story. Some very thought-provoking words. We all appreciate it greatly. You're an inspiration, and hopefully for the Victoria police officers who are watching the broadcast tonight, hopefully something that Robyn said has sunken in.